welcome to the Crimson Misery Podcast, episode 47. My name is Will Rainbolt. I hope you all are doing well. I hope you all enjoyed that Final Four, both the women's and men's side. I'll get to the women's side first, then the men's side second, because obviously the women's side happened first. Even though there's a little bit less to talk about on that side, but that being said, oh boy, today we had some really good games, and I'm really pleasantly surprised with how especially the second game turned out with Houston and Duke, especially for a rooting interest, I would say. Even though I'm not a big Kelvin Sampson fan, but the national championship games are set. Florida and Houston on the men's side, and then I guess technically today, it'll be South Carolina and UConn. So very exciting. I'm going to get into all of that. I'm going to get into some transfer portal news. We'll get into some NIT talk. Congratulations to Chattanooga for winning the NIT. Um, really, really not what I had anticipated, but boy, that game was really good. I mean, UC Irvine is a really great team, but for Chattanooga to pull that off in overtime was spectacular. But I'm going to get into that in a second. But first, if you all like the podcast or if you want to follow up more, um, if you like it, if you're listening on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts, consider rating the show 5 stars. If you are listening on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment down below, and let's get right into it. So the women's side, the women's Final Four was Texas and South Carolina, UConn, UCLA, and really not too much to say in terms of like the actual games themselves because they were both pretty one-sided. I'll start with Texas and South Carolina. This was a matchup I thought was going to go down to the wire. Although South Carolina had won 2 of the 3 matchups, and now they won 3 of 4 because they absolutely smoked Texas, especially in the second half, because they were only up by 3 at halftime, and then South Carolina really took over. Again, I feel like players like Joyce Edwards and Mylasia Fulwiley and Tessa Johnson should probably be starting. Um, but that also just speaks to how talented South Carolina is. And I really, even though, like, again, Raven Johnson has improved, I just don't know if she should be starting over someone like Edwards or Mylasia Fulwiley. Um, but even still, with those 3 coming off the bench, they are so difficult to beat. And despite Texas having a lot of the size to match up with South Carolina, they just weren't able to get much going offensively. They were only hit 4 threes in this one. South Carolina hit 7, and really South Carolina was just able to take over. Um, Mylasia Fulwiley hit some big shots as per usual. Um, I mean, but she even might transfer after this year because I don't know what it is. And I like Don Staley, but I just feel like there's something between those two that's like not right, and I don't know what it is. There was obviously that weird benching that happened earlier on in the year, but I still feel like Mylasia Fulwiley is probably the most talented player on South Carolina, and that's really difficult to say because you've had obviously Joyce Edwards having a really good year. Tahina Pau, of course. It's between her and Pau, because Chloe Kitts really hasn't ever really impressed me all that much. I mean, she's really good. Don't get me wrong, but I just, in comparison to the rest of the team, like she has a lot of size and she's really adds to the depth of South Carolina, especially as a starter and as someone who is able to finish around the rim. I just feel like in comparison to like especially the other forwards that they have, they she's a good addition, but or well, addition in terms of like her increased playing time, obviously since Camila Cardoso graduated and went on to the WNBA. So like now that she's in the starting lineup, but she only played 15 minutes, and I just I don't know. it's very interesting how Don Staley's starting lineups are. Um, but yeah, I really, I mean, she was in foul trouble to be fair, but I still um, I haven't been too impressed with her overall this year. I thought I was kind of expecting a bit more of a jump, but it's less than 1 point per game improvement. So again, I'm not a head coach, and Don Staley is a really like historically good head coach. So I'm not one to say anything, but and the system has obviously not failed, at least not yet this year. Well, they do have 3 losses, and but all 3 of those losses were to the teams in the Final Four. So yeah, South Carolina still really good at 35-3. So yeah, congratulations to South Carolina for beating Texas. And again, like they were just able, South Carolina defensively. That's what their calling card has always been, and they were able to slow down Madison Booker. Obviously, Taylor Jones and Roy Harmon were not scoring. No one aside from Jordan Lee, and I mean, obviously Booker had 11, but again, she just wasn't able to do a lot in this one. Um, and again, when Jordan Lee is your leading scorer, and no one else is really scoring all that much, and again, I credit a lot of that to South Carolina because they were just able to make life so miserable on Texas, like what Texas did against Tennessee, and I just and against TCU. Like they were just able to make life miserable, and South Carolina was just like, oh yeah, we can do that even more. So, and they won by 17 points. So again, it was really in the third quarter as well, just absolutely stifled Texas, outscored them 20-9. Yeah, so South Carolina really good. They will meet UConn, who had probably the most impressive performance of the tournament so far. And look, UConn defeated USC because, again, without Juju Watkins, that game was just in UConn's favor the entire time. And boy, now that they're in the Final Four, they crushed the overall number 1 seed by 34 points. That is insane. That has to be one of the worst losses by a number 1 overall seed that I can remember. Um, Not really surprising considering no one else was scoring outside of Lauren Betts. And I I mean, Gabriella Jaquez only had no points. London Jones had no points, and those are 2 starters, by the way. Gabriella Jaquez averages almost 10 points per game, and London Jones averages 8.5. So that's a lack of scoring. Obviously, Lauren Betts was getting her points, and she averages what, like 20 points? Yeah, 20.2. And outside of that, I mean, she had over half of UCLA's points, and Corey Close was. I mean, she really could not do that much because no one. I mean, UCLA was just struggling so much. UConn's pressure was getting to them, and on top of that, UConn is just a better shooting team. Um, with Becker's Fudd and Sarah Strong combining, I believe nearly like well, I think those 3 outscored UCLA by themselves. Like if it was just like a 5-on-3 game, I think UConn still would have won. Um, but again, um, with AZ Fudd and Paige Beckers and Sarah Strong, it's like though that is a like 3-headed monster. And then on top of that, they defensively can still hold down a team like UCLA that is still a really good scoring team, especially with Betts. Like she was able to get her own, but like no one else was could get anything going. And I mean, Gino Ariema did it again. He did it again, and I mean, obviously, once the matchup comes in between UConn and South Carolina in this national title game, like it's pretty clear that South Carolina has like the size advantage. UConn obviously has the shooting advantage. But look, South Carolina and UConn have already played this year. It was at South Carolina, and UConn blew them to smithereens, 87-58 in their last matchup. So obviously, there's a chance that South Carolina can look at that game and want revenge. I I'm gonna have a hard time picking against UConn just because they are the hottest team right now and have already beaten South Carolina on the road. So that's gonna be my pick. Is UConn winning it all? That game obviously at 3 o'clock today, the 6th of April. But I, but something about South Carolina just doesn't like. They obviously are here for a reason, and it's just if like they're gonna have to. Don Staley's gonna have to bring in Mylasia Fulwiley and Tessa Johnson and Joyce Edwards much earlier than she would probably like to. That is to me the only way South Carolina wins this game because, good God, UConn looks unstoppable. I mean, again they have the head-to-head win over South Carolina already. So unless South Carolina is able to just smother them defensively, which they weren't able to do the first time around. Um, yeah, I think UConn will have this one. That's going to be my prediction. I believe the final score will be, I'll say 81 to 71. I'm going to say a 10-point win for UConn. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but that's going to be my prediction. So, going to be very interesting to see that. And then let's move on to the men's side. Well, first of all, congratulations again to Chattanooga for winning the NIT, 85 to 84. I mean, this game was absolutely bonkers uh, to witness, especially in the second half. I mean, it was close throughout the entire game. Um, but yeah, so Chattanooga, Hunter Huff made two free throws to give Chattanooga the lead, and then Miles Che ended up getting fouled like almost immediately after that. Or he drew a foul at some point, but I mean that's right. He I think he got fouled on a three. And so, no, both of them got fouled on a three. That's right. So Miles Che fouled Hunter Huff, and then he ended up making all three free throws, Huff did. And then Miles Che made two of three, but missed the last one. And I think who was it? Was it Mulholland? Or I can't remember. Yeah, it was. He missed a couple jump shots for Chattanooga, so that pretty much forced overtime. And then in overtime, again, no team could really pull away from one another. Um, I mean, Miles Che um, put I think he put UC Irvine ahead on a free throw. Then Mulholland made a three, and then Che made a jump shot. So it was back and forth. And then I think at some point, um, Bent Leuchten, I think, yeah, he got fouled and then missed both free throws. He's not really a great free throw shooter. But then I think it was who was it? Kessler, however you pronounce that name. Kieslar made the game winning jumper with 11 seconds left, and then despite Chattanooga missing both free throws, um, I think yeah, UC Irvine ended up missing a layup at the end of the game, and that was it. So Chattanooga ends up winning 85 to 84. Congratulations. Um, that was a hell of a game to watch. So NIT champions, Chattanooga, congratulations. And another, again, a great year for UC Irvine. Um, 32 wins, fantastic season. So no, they can definitely they can definitely hold their heads up high. Um, so, but again, um, that is the NIT. Now let's move on to the Final Four. So Florida and Auburn. Florida won the regular season matchup between the two at Auburn, and then despite being down by 8 points at halftime, Florida was down by eight to Auburn because yet again we saw guys like Baker Mazzara and Miles Kelly knocking down threes. Although Auburn went 7 of 25, so their 3-point shooting finally ran out. Janai Broom, um, probably bothered by that hand injury or arm injury. Um, wasn't as effective in this one. Went 3 of 7 from the free throw line. Um, went 0 of 2 from three, 6 of 14. He missed a couple of gimmies, kind of like Hunter Dickinson misses layups all the time for Kansas. Um, good Lord, it just dawned on me that Hunter Dickinson is gone after this year. Good. So anyway, but again, Florida with Walter Clayton, it doesn't matter like if a guy's right next to him or has his hands up. Like Walter Clayton is a gun, and he and Elijah Martin combined for, I believe, 51 points. Yeah, 51 points, and that was pretty much enough to sink Auburn because Auburn just wasn't able to climb back into it. Again, Florida's front court really didn't do a whole lot. I mean, Thomas Howe had 12 points off the bench. Probably should be starting over Alex Condon because Condon has not been playing very well recently, um, especially in this tournament. I think, yeah, he had 12 against Norfolk State, but has not been scoring very much. And I know he's not like that's not his his main uh skill set, but at the same time, um Thomas Howe just gives Florida a lot better minutes overall. Um and I mean, Will Richard didn't even have that great of a game, but still, I mean, Walter Clayton was enough for because goddamn, he is like one of the like I mean, he has more size than a guy like Mark Sears, who is also a gun, but and and he's just able to make more shots. And that is what boils down to it. Elijah Martin, kind of the same deal. That's going to be really, really difficult for Houston to cover. Although, man, like it's still crazy to me that Houston won that game still. But I'll get into that game in a second. But just as an aside, like I'm not shedding a tear for Auburn because, for one, Bruce Pearl is a Zionist and a Trump supporter. Literally retweeted Viktor Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary, who is a fascist. So, like, it is really, um, he is really not a good guy, and I've no love lost between myself and Bruce Pearl. This very one-sided hatred of this very incorrect individual. I'll just put it that way. Um, literally was retweeting Trump and is one of if not the most pro-Israel head coach of all time. Even though I know that Todd Golden, I believe, is also Israeli. And yeah, I'm so obviously I was gonna tweet out like you know, once Bruce Pearl lost in the tournament, I would say like free Palestine or whatever, but like Todd Golden is literally Israeli, so like yeah, probably not the best time to tweet that out. I will say, however, like I because Todd Golden has like allegations, Title IX allegations. I know they were I believe they were dismissed, but there's still, I think the Florida Athletic Department was essentially saying there were, or whoever was investigating it said that there were some inappropriate actions that had taken place, but Golden was never disciplined. Nor do I think he'll ever be disciplined, especially if he wins the national title. So again, I just want to put that out there that he has had some allegations against him. Um, so again, allegedly. So yeah, like obviously that kind of sucks, but like also it's really funny to see Bruce Pearl lose. So anyway, that being said, let's get to the best game of the Final Four of this weekend so far. Houston somehow, some way, despite Duke playing again, kind of their same style where they seem to be just better than the other team by so much. I literally tweeted out that Duke, that Houston's defense is still really good, but it didn't really matter because Duke is just that much better. And then Duke just choked this game away. I was stunned to see the results of this one because Duke was up by, I believe they were up by 6 with, I think, 40 seconds to go. And again, like Cooper Flag just went off in this one, but made a couple of couple of bad plays near the end of that game, kind of a callback to his first few college games where he had missed a couple of game tying or game winning shots. And Houston decided to play it out, decided Duke ended up missing, and then Houston made a three. And then, or wait, was that before or after? Some at some point between there. Um, I believe it was Knipple or Sion James was trying to inbound the ball, and the Houston guy ended up like trying to knock the ball out of his hands while he was inbounding, which you can't do. That's a technical foul. And Duke made both free throws, and yeah, then I think Houston made the three. I believe that was either LJ Cryer or no, it was Emmanuel Sharp, I think. Let me look. I want to make sure I have the right. Um, yeah, so it was a one shot technical foul. Sorry, it was a one shot technical foul on Joseph Tugler, and yeah, Kneppel made the free throw, and then um, yeah, so then Kneppel missed the layup. That's right, and then Sharp made the three, and then um, Duke could not inbound the ball. That was the big reason why they choked the game away. And Joseph Tugler ended up redeeming himself by getting an offensive rebound off the Malik Wilson steal and ended up making that one. And then Tyrese Proctor, who is not a great free throw shooter, like I think he's only like 68%, which is very low for what I thought he was going to be. Like usually they definitely had to try to get it into Kneppel, but that did not work. And so Proctor missed the front end of the 1-and-1. And then despite Houston, yeah, Jawan Roberts got the rebound, and then it Cooper Flag committed a foul on Jawan Roberts, although it didn't look like it looked like a play on to me. Um, I would have probably just gone on with a play on, but Flag got called for the foul, and then and Roberts, who was only like a 60% free throw shooter, ended up making both free throws. That is a clutch dude. 5-year player for Houston. Last year, like he I mean that is like an really important storyline because Jawan Roberts played such an integral part in Houston's like once they got up to that high tier level from the AAC going into the Big 12, Jawan Roberts has always been there under Kelvin Sampson. And so for him to make those two free throws were super important and just like even if Houston doesn't end up winning the national title, like Jawan Roberts can look back on that and be like, yeah, that was worth it to take down Duke. Because after that, Cooper Flag ended up missing like a mid-range jumper left it well short. So it was a pretty bad miss. And then Houston got the rebound. LJ Cryer made both free throws. And the last second heave from Proctor did not end up going in, or it was it hit like the scoreboard. So wow. I mean, because again, Duke had this game, man. They were up by 12 in the first half, and then they were up by like 13 or 14 in the second half with like 10 minutes to go. And they kept Houston pretty much at bay. But Houston just locked, I mean, their defense, this is one of the best defenses I've ever seen, hands down. And I know that Houston's defense was pretty much going to be like the main reason why they would match up well against Duke. I mean, number one defense in all of the country, and they just beat a Duke team that is both top five in offense. They're the best team in offensive efficiency per Ken Palm and number five in defense. So it's not like Duke. like defensively was struggling, but Houston's defense was somehow able to stop Houston to stop Duke's high-powered offense. And sometimes in college basketball, like a really, really good defense can and will stop a really good offense. Just ask Indiana about that in 2013 against Syracuse. Um, but yeah, just an absolute juggernaut of a defense from Houston. Despite not having like a ton of size, they're just super athletic, super quick, and they just make life hell on opponents. Yes, even Duke, So it's just it that was incredible to witness. And Houston again looked dead in the water, and for them to come back and for Duke to choke this one away pretty much. Um, yeah, just an absolutely fantastic game. So it will be Houston and Florida for the national title on Monday night. Who do I think is going to win that one? Well, it depends. So Houston, for one, the most obvious thing is that they're playing very close to home. It is in San Antonio. And I really think that combined with the fact that they just beat the the number one team in the country. I know Auburn was technically like the number one overall seed, but like um, yeah, I really think Houston has all the mojo going for them. And yet, Florida is clearly the hottest team, like looking at it. Just they have the hottest player in the country, just scorching from three, scorching anywhere from the floor in Walter Clayton. And that to me is going to be such a difficult matchup for Houston because he is so nimble and quick with his shooting, and that I don't know if that like defensive pressure is ultimately going to matter because Duke is a bit more selective in their shots, while Florida is more of that like Auburn, Alabama mentality where they are more free flowing and they're like a gunner essentially. And so Florida is going to be like they're not going to be bashful at all. And that to me is going to really challenge Houston. They are really going to have to up the ante on trying to slow down Florida's offense, not only by tempo, but really just like getting in the grill. Like it has to be that case of like living with Florida's twos and just taking away their threes as much as they possibly can. Um, and but again, they Houston was able to beat Duke, and so to me, this can go either way, but man, wow. As much as I want to pick Houston to win this one, I think Florida's going to win. But Houston does have, if they are able to slow Florida down, I think they can definitely win this game. It obviously won't help that they have to go up against Walter Clayton and Elijah Martin, but that's the game of college basketball for you. So again, it is crazy to me how uh, like the 4-1s were just like a cut above everyone else, and I should have seen that. Admittedly, when I was trying to make my bracket predictions, um, is that I mean Tennessee plus 30 on the adjusted efficiency margin, and Auburn is I mean that then they're fifth in Ken Palm overall, and Auburn is plus 35 and they're fourth. So it's like the gap between those two teams just a cut above everyone else. And yeah, I should have seen that coming, but at the same time I didn't want to be like a just a Jay Billis type. That was my rationale is like cuz he always picks like the 1 and 2 seeds to go to the final four. So that to me was a little too boring. I was trying to kind of rationalize it with, obviously with the games that I watched all year long and try to give the ones as much credit as I can. But for all 4-1s to advance, it definitely led to some pretty good games. Obviously, the best one being Houston and Duke, but We'll see. Hopefully, Florida and Houston is a really, really good game, and I'm hoping that. I mean, the last time 2-1s. I mean, the last time it was a all 4-1s in the Final Four, it was 2008. That was obviously the uh, Mario Chalmers game tying three to beat Derrick Rose in Memphis. So yeah, hopefully it's a game like that. So, but yeah, I have Florida winning. The final score I will predict to be 75 to 71. I think it'll be pretty close. 75 to 71 will be my prediction. So, anyway, let's before I leave you all, I want to talk about some transfer portal mentions. Um, the biggest story, and especially fans of the Big Ten, Yaxel Landenborg um, commits to Michigan. UAB transfer, one of the best players in the American, if not the best player in the American, aside from PJ Haggerty of Memphis. Um, he is going to be an NBA player. I don't think there's any doubt of that. And for him to transfer to Michigan, where he'll get more recognition, that is going to be a headache on the rest of the league. And so yeah, let's just talk about Yaxel Lenneborg for a bit because he was really good at UAB. Gave obviously Memphis a bit of a scare um, late in the year. I believe he's a senior, but is gonna use his last year to transfer to Michigan. Averages almost 18 points per game. Lost UAB lost to UC Irvine in the quarterfinals of the NIT, but he had 13 points and 17 rebounds. He's a guy that does everything for for um, for UAB. He shoots the three. I definitely compare him quite a bit to Janai Broom. They're around the same size, and New Jersey kid who averages a double double this year. Shoots the three pretty well, as I said. He's a pretty good passer overall. Although I mean, he does average two turnovers a game, but also averages 4.2 assists. So he is like a decent passer. Sometimes he's a little in the games I've watched anyway. He seems sometimes to be a little unselfish, but because he wants to get his teammates involved, obviously. But when he's taking over games, like it's insane to watch. And yeah, obviously against Memphis, the final game he had 19 points, 17 boards. I mean, he's going to be a beast for Michigan, especially now that I believe I mean Vladislav Golden obviously is done, I believe. I think he's pretty much done. I think Danny Wolf might be returning. I don't know. He's either going to the NBA. I don't think he'll transfer from Michigan, but yeah, I think he's pretty much here to stay. So it's going to be again kind of that too big lineup that Dusty May is going to have out there. So that is a great pickup for Michigan. Kind of wish Indiana got him, but I mean, Indiana really hasn't done a ton so far, but I'm not panicking, unlike a lot of Indiana media or not media members, but fans, especially on message boards. It's been very, it's been wild to see the panic out of fellow Indiana fans. My overall thoughts, especially with Darren DeVries now at Indiana, coming in from West Virginia, formerly at Drake as well. I don't have any expectations because I have been heartbroken on so many occasions with Indiana basketball that if Indiana does well, I would be over the moon. Like, don't get me wrong, I would be so over the moon for that to happen. But in these last 8 years, under Archie Miller and Mike Woodson, it has either been there being no expectations at all, and Indiana stays right then and there, or they do have expectations and it goes to shit. Technically 9 years with the last year of the Tom Crean era with OG Ananobi. Of course, that year was overall just even in my life that might have been like the lowest point in my entire life. Sorry to go down a dark road there, but yeah. So definitely, I'm still just like kind of cautiously optimistic about Indiana, but at the same time, it's like, what do I really what is there to expect? They have Tucker DeVries and Connor Enright transfer from DePaul. Um, we'll see. We shall see. There are a couple of portal guys that are still in the portal that I would like to see. Creighton got a few additions from Iowa. Owen Freeman and Josh Dix both committed to Creighton. Um, Eddie Lampkin is transferring from Syracuse, so I think this will be his fourth school. He went from, let me see if I have this right. He went from TCU to Colorado to Syracuse and now to somewhere else. He is all over the map. So who knows where Eddie Lampkin will end up? Good God. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure what will happen there. Wesley Yates, the third, is transferring from USC. Not surprised there. Um, I don't know where he'll end up, but it'll probably be I mean, Wesley Yates, aside from Desmond Claude, I mean, two of those are the two guys that it made USC like anywhere near watchable this year. So, um, I believe, um, hmm, yeah, Mama Diabate is transferring from Alabama. I don't think he has declared where he's going yet. Um, yeah, I think so far. Oh yeah, Louisville um got here, let's see. Um yeah, Louisville, I believe, got who was it Conwell from Xavier? Uh yeah, Ryan Conwell. Um uh got yeah, he went from Xavier to Louisville. That is another big transfer addition. I believe he's a combo guard. So I'll see, it'll be interesting to see what happens, and especially trying to replace Chucky Hepburn, who I believe is done after this year. That'll be pretty interesting to watch, but I'm sure we'll have more news in the upcoming days of the transfer portal, um, and for the coaches as well. Um, I believe. Let's see. Oh yeah, Malik Renew from Indiana to Miami. Best of luck, Malik Renew. Ja'Kai Newton, I believe, is now at Georgia State. Best of luck. Go be great. That is the correct state of mind that you should have for anyone transferring out of your school. Go unless you're Hunter Dickinson, in which case I really truly do not give a shit what the reaction would be. Um, but yeah, so in terms of the coaches, we have obviously Kevin Willard, the disaster that was his departure from Maryland, now at Villanova. His replacement is Buzz Williams from Texas A&M. So he has gone from Marquette to Virginia Tech to Texas A&M and now to Maryland. So he's in the Big Ten now. He's crossed off quite a few destinations from the Big East to the ACC Big to the SEC. Sorry, Texas A&M's always been in the SEC, or well, since 2012 when they left the Big 12. But obviously, Buzz Williams came in well after that, of course. To the Big Ten, to Maryland, who's been in the Big Ten since 2014. So yeah, so Buzz Williams, there's a bit of a coaching carousel there. Obviously, um, Richard Pitino um, is in the Xavier head coaching spot now, joining the Big East with his daddy, Rick Pitino, of course. Um, Texas has a new head coach. Texas, Sean Miller from Xavier. Um, yeah, so definitely quite a bit of a coaching carousel. Texas, they've had Rick Barnes and then Shaka Smart and Chris Beard and Rodney Terry and now Sean Miller. Will it be like Sean Miller's Arizona teams where their peak is the Elite Eight? We shall see. But yeah, Sean Miller cheating at Arizona, especially in the final few years. So we'll see how that ends up working out. Um, yeah, that is about all that is here right now, at the very least. Um, I don't know if uh the women's side is very yeah, Avery Howell is transferring from USC, that's right. Um, that not really too surprised about that, but at the same time, it is USC and they were really good. So, Indiana women's basketball got an Alabama transfer. Chloe Spreen is coming to Indiana. She was former Indiana Miss Basketball, so that is a pretty good addition. Indiana still has a few players still left. One of which, despite holding the 3-point shooting record, who I'm glad is probably not coming back, is Yarden Gearzone. Um, yeah, Israeli Zionist. Um, yeah, can't say I mean, thanks for the points, I guess. Um I just can't get behind someone who like posts fucking Ben Shapiro clips and um is just again in his I mean obviously from Israel. The odds are pretty likely she's going to be a Zionist, and yeah, pretty much has been I've always there's been some hesitation to cheering because of that. And yeah, I can't say I'll miss her very much. Um, yeah, that is all I will say about that. So anyway, with that being said, hopefully the national championship games will be great. I will have an episode recapping the two championship games once the men's side has concluded, because obviously the women's game is happening first at 3 o'clock, and then on Monday, I believe what time does it start? Um, it will be um, at 8:50, Florida and Houston, and then at 3 o'clock today will be UConn and South Carolina. Some great games. I have again to recap. I have um, who did I say was going to win? UConn. I have UConn and I have Florida winning those two games respectively. All right. Enjoy the games. If you do watch them, if not, have a have a great weekend regardless. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on this episode. So thank you very much for listening, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.